Raspberries in Mythology and Medieval Times. An exploration of symbolism, folklore, and historic use, raspberries, with their vibrant flavor and natural beauty, have long captured human imagination. Beyond their modern appeal, they hold a rich history rooted in mythology, folklore, and medieval traditions, once symbolizing love, healing, and spiritual mystery in both forest tales and apothecaries' remedies. Raspberries in ancient mythology and folklore. While raspberries may not have commanded the same legendary presence as apples or grapes in classical mythology, they nevertheless held a quiet but meaningful place in several ancient cultures. Greek and Roman legends. One of the earliest legends involving raspberries comes from Greek mythology. According to a popular tale, raspberries were originally white in color. The nymph Ida, daughter of the king of Crete and nurse to the infant Zeus, was gathering berries on Mount Ida to soothe the crying child. As she picked the fruit, she pricked her finger on a thorn, and her blood stained the berries red. From that moment on, raspberries have borne their characteristic crimson hue. This myth not only offers a fanciful origin story for the raspberry's color, but also ties the fruit to themes of nurturing, sacrifice, and transformation, qualities often associated with the divine feminine. The Romans, who inherited much of Greek mythology, also appreciated raspberries. Pliny the Elder, a Roman naturalist, referred to a fruit that many historians believed was the raspberry in his Naturalis Historia. Romans are credited with spreading raspberry cultivation throughout their empire, including into Britain and the European continent. Celtic and Slavic folklore. In Celtic folklore, berries in general held magical significance. Raspberries, growing wild in bramble thickets, were associated with fairy realms and otherworldly creatures. Entering a raspberry patch was sometimes believed to open a gateway into the Fey world, a domain of mystery, enchantment, and danger. The brambles that protected the berries symbolized both the hidden value and the protective barrier to sacred knowledge or treasure. In Slavic folk traditions, wild berries, raspberries among them, were often collected for use in seasonal rituals. Raspberries were considered a symbol of summer's abundance and were sometimes used as offerings to forest spirits or household deities to ensure health, fertility, and protection. Raspberries in medieval times. Symbolism, medicine, and cuisine. By the medieval period, raspberries had taken root not only in the wild, but also in the cultural and practical lives of European peoples. These berries played a role in art, medicine, and food, and their symbolic meanings expanded as they were absorbed into the Christian worldview and monastic herbalism. Symbolism in medieval Europe. In the symbolic language of medieval Europe, raspberries took on various meanings. Their deep red color associated them with blood, passion, and martyrdom. In Christian iconography, red berries could represent the blood of Christ or the suffering of saints. This imbued raspberries with spiritual resonance, especially during the age when religious themes permeated all aspects of daily life. Furthermore, raspberries were sometimes seen as symbols of kindness and good deeds. The structure of the fruit, with its many individual drupelets clustered tightly together, was likened to unity, cooperation, and the Christian ideal of a unified community. In heraldry, the raspberry did not play as prominent a role as other plants, like roses or grapes, but it did occasionally appear in monastic seals or garden illustrations as a sign of natural beauty and divine abundance. Medicinal uses in medieval herbalism. The medieval era saw a flourishing of botanical study, much of it preserved and practiced in monastic gardens. Monks and herbalists cultivated raspberries not just for their flavor, but for their medicinal properties, especially their leaves, which were widely used in remedies. Raspberry leaves were dried and brewed into teas or crushed into poultices for a variety of ailments. They were believed to aid digestion, Raspberry leaf tea was used to relieve nausea and gastrointestinal discomfort. Support women's health. Raspberry leaves were especially valued for their use in treating menstrual cramps and aiding childbirth. This reputation persists to this day in traditional herbal medicine. Soothe wounds and inflammation. Applied externally, crushed raspberry leaves were used to treat skin irritations, cuts, and swelling. These uses were documented in herbals such as the Physica by Hildegard of Bingen, a 12th century abbess and polymath who wrote extensively on natural remedies. While not all her prescriptions align with modern science, they reflect a worldview in which nature was seen as a divine gift for healing and sustenance. Culinary roles in the medieval diet. Though raspberries were not cultivated on a wide scale until the early Renaissance, they were gathered from the wild in abundance during the medieval period. Berries in general were a common feature of peasant and noble diets alike, though the forms they took varied by class. Nobility. In aristocratic households, raspberries might be featured in elaborate tarts, sweetmeats, or preserves. These dishes were sometimes served at feasts and banquets, where the fruit's rarity and delicate nature added to its prestige. Peasantry. Among common folk, raspberries were consumed fresh or mixed into porridge and occasionally fermented into rudimentary wines or cordials. They were also dried for later use, especially during the long winters when fresh fruit was scarce. In both social spheres, raspberries were appreciated not just for their taste, but for their vibrant color and scent, which stood out in a diet often lacking in variety and freshness. Legacy of the raspberry in medieval and mythological contexts. Raspberries may not have enjoyed the same exalted status as grapes in wine or apples in biblical allegory, but they held their own quiet power, woven into ancient stories, used in sacred healing, and symbolizing both spiritual and earthly pleasures. Their roles in mythology connect them with themes of love, sacrifice, and natural mystery, while their uses in medieval times reflect a deep appreciation of their healing and culinary properties. Even today, the echoes of these associations can be felt when we sip raspberry tea for comfort, admire the intricate design of the fruit, or wander into a bramble patch in summer. Raspberries are more than a sweet treat. They are living links to a rich tapestry of cultural memory and natural wonder, stretching from ancient legends to the dinner tables of modern life. If you're all about living well, you're in the right place. Like, subscribe, and share with a friend who needs this. Got a wellness tip of your own? Leave it in the comments. Much love for watching. I will see you in the next one. Peace, Michael Luxey.